Hello there, I'm Eric Renault and this is a video for Photo Focus. And in this video we're going to dive into Adobe Dimension. Now some may remember that I did a video on Dimension some time ago when it was relatively new. However, things have changed a little bit, and that video, well, that was just maybe a little bit too complicated for beginners. So we're going to put it back and we're going to get all festive and we're going to create this in Adobe Dimension. Now I say we're going to create this. I have absolutely no idea what you just saw, but I'm hoping there was a couple of Christmas baubles there of different colours, and maybe one or two with a logo. Okay. Let's jump into Adobe Dimension and see what's what. So here we are. We've got Adobe Dimension all ready to go. And you can see that up at the top left hand corner, if I get my ugly mug out of the way, we have Create New and Open. Now I can also open anything that I've worked on previously, or even take some tutorials there as well. Next to here, 3 dots means there's more, so I could go in like this and I could see exactly how it's being set up, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to use my default one here just for this particular exercise. Okay, let's open by clicking on Create New. Now I'm just going to come out of libraries for a second because we want to start like this, because this is how you're most likely to see it. On the left hand side we've got our tools, much like tools in other applications. We'll go through a few of those a little bit later. Really we're not going to use many of them, if any at all, if I'm honest. Next to that is the shapes, or the objects, or the models as they're called here, and we've got all kinds of ones in there. We'll be using the basic shapes for this tutorial. Next to that is materials. We'll have a look at those in some depth a little bit later. And then we've got lighting and we've got images. Now lighting and images we won't be using in this particular video. Okay, let's go back to the models. Now underneath these basic models you can see that there are various shapes, various things that you can get, and the reason for this is that this application is used by graphic designers to mock up an advert or mock up some sort of scene. So you can import a 3D object and put it wherever you want. As you saw with the images there, lots of outdoor and indoor scenes, you can put your product there. It's great for photographers because if you've got a scene and you want to put a giant bottle or a soup can on the table, you absolutely can using Adobe Dimension. So it's a good product to know a little about if you are a photographer. Okay, so let's go back up to the top. That's the shapes we're going to be using for this, just to get us going. In the middle, just as always, that's our working area. And then on the right hand side, you can see that it says Scene, Actions and Properties. This is going to change depending on what we're doing, especially the properties, depending on what we're doing. So I may refer to properties as being that whole bar down the right hand side, if I'm honest, but we do have scene, actions and properties in there, and we'll be using those quite a lot during this video. Okay, I want to make Christmas baubles, so let's make one to get us going. Now there's 3 parts to a Christmas bauble. There's a ball, there's a little bit that connects the ball to a ring, and of course the ring itself. So those are the 3 parts we're going to use. They're all available to us in these basic shapes. So the first thing we'll need is a sphere. Now I've got 2 choices. I can click and drag that onto the working area, or I can just click it and it will pop it down in the middle. Clicking it and popping it down in the middle is exactly what I'm going to do. Clicking while I'm looking at the camera, multitasking. There we go. So we've got our sphere there. Now we have this little gadget. If you've used 3D in After Effects or Photoshop, then this and other 3D products, then this may be familiar to you. So we have a blue, which is the Z axis. We have the, so I'm looking down to remind myself, red, which is the X axis, and Y is on the green there. So they effectively use those pointers to move things around. We'll use them a bit more in just a minute. Now, I honestly don't remember which axis is which, and when you start turning them and whatnot, it doesn't really matter. What you do know is that goes up and down, that one goes backwards and forwards, and left to right, and that one goes left to right and backwards and forwards that way. That's all you need to know, really. So I'm going to undo that, Control Z, or Z if you have taken a language and made it your own. So there we have the sphere. Next we want the bit that connects it to the ring, and that's going to be a cylinder. Again, drag it or click it, don't matter which. I'm going to click it, and you can see that now we have lost the sphere. However, the sphere is still there, because if I click and drag it up, there it is, it's inside. If you're a Tommy Cooper fan, then bottle glass, glass bottle. Okay, so what we need to do is make this smaller and attach it to the top. A couple of ways we can do this. We have handles in here which will scale on those particular axes, which is nice. So we could make this a bit more dumpy by going down like that. There we go. And then moving it up. We can certainly do that. And we can scale in these ones as well. I'm not going to do that. What I am going to do is come over to the properties on the right hand side, and I'm going to look at the size here. Now we could scale it, but as you can see, it's starting off as a scale of 1. So if I wanted to make this smaller, we're going into decimals, and then it starts getting a bit bleh. So I'm not going to use that. I'm going to use the size. I'm going to link all these together so they all remain the same. I'm going to come to the Z axis and say 5 centimeters. There it is. Let's pull that up and see what it looks like. Looks good. Okay, could be doing with a little bit being a little bit deeper. Let's unlink that and then use my handle here just as a kind of a eyeballing way of doing it. There you go. Now this is going to be a bit deeper than it needs to be, because I'm going to make it go into the bauble. Now later on we're going to give the ball itself some properties, and we could make it opaque, and which means we'll be able to see that cylinder inside the bauble. Now this may be something you want to do. Maybe you want to create a scene in there or something. Good luck to you. But you may want to. You're probably more advanced than I am. But for me, I don't want to see it, so I've just left it just a little bit. But I'm not going to make these opaque anyway. Okay, next we need the ring that goes on the top of the little connector there. So that is a torus. Again, drag it in or click it. I'm going to click it, and we get this rubber ring down at the bottom, which is of no help whatsoever because it's all wrong. That's okay. We've got another handle, this round one here, this dot, which we can click and drag, and you can see I've got a heads up display there, which will help me get to 90 degrees now. Reasonably steady hand today, but if I was struggling, then you can see on the properties there that the rotation is changing as well. I could just come in there on the x-axis and type 90, and Bob's your uncle. All right, let's take the blue handle now, which goes up and down. See, they change when you start spinning them around. It was the green one, now it's the blue one. Anyway, so now we've got the blue handle. I want to make this much smaller. Again, I'm going to link everything together and change one of these. Let's go for 5 again. Oh, and it's gone inside the spheres. Let's bring that up. There we are, looking good. But it's a bit chunky. So I'm going to go down, 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 and you can see that we've got more properties here. And in the torus there, we've got the ring radius, the pipe radius, ring sides, and pipe sides. I think the one I want is pipe radius. Let's half that. There we go, and it makes it a little bit more delicate. So there we go. We've now got our ring that works all the way through. Excellent. Now, I've been pulling this about. I'm pretty sure that these two are still aligned, but this ring most certainly isn't. But we can align objects here as well. So just like with other programs, you can click and then shift click to select a range of objects. And now I want to go to, and just bear with me if I get this wrong to start with, I have to object and then down to align and distribute. So here we have our align and distribute tool, and it's really, really helpful. So what we can do here is we can just click on the middle one. Everything is now in the middle on that plane. I can click on the middle one here and everything is in the middle. On that plane, everything is lined up. Don't want to do this one because then it'll all be all centered into the middle of the sphere there. We don't want that. Okay, so I've just used the align tool just to get everything in order. This is a little bit too high, I think. So let's go back to the torus and let's go here and get our move tool again and just drop that down, just eyeballing it a little bit to when it just connects in there. Okay, and there we go. We have got a Christmas bauble. It looks a bit plain, but we've got one. How easy was that? Let's decorate this now. So we spoke about these materials a little earlier on. Now the icon for this reminds me a bit of a tennis ball, if I'm honest, but the reason for that is it's got this cutaway in it. Now, you may have seen this before, especially if you've used Adobe Capture. So you can go and capture your materials and import them in here, as well as other different products as well across the Adobe Creative Cloud. It's really a good thing, this. I really love this because while you're out and about, you go, oh, that's a nice texture. You capture it with Adobe Capture. It goes into your libraries, and we're more about libraries in just a minute, and you can bring them in here. And so, you know, if you find a lovely stone wall or something, you can add this in here. It's absolutely beautiful. Okay, enough of that. So we want to add some material to the bauble. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here. Let's find something that looks a bit Christmassy, maybe this one, and drop that in, and there we go. So I've just dropped that on the bauble and it's added it in. There you go. How easy was that? Let's take a nice silver one. There's a silver one. We'll pop that on the connector. There we go. And then on the ring itself, let's have a smooth whatever this is. There we go. And so now we've got our bauble. Now, while I was doing that, you may have noticed on the right hand side that the material was being added into this scene part. So if I come back out of that, you can see that the torus, the cylinder and the sphere are all there, and each one now has, if I click in the right place, a material on it as well. I can grab these textures or these materials and put them over on the scene. So if I got this brushed, whatever it is, and dropped it in there, it would replace that. And oh, look at that, brushed aluminium. So so we've now added this brushed aluminium onto it. Okay, it's brushed aluminum if you really must, but it's aluminium. We had the language first, so you know. So we can just drag and drop this on. If it's really cold, then we can get a couple of brass ones there and make this whatever we want. Okay, so what I do want to do though is add a bit more of a different texture to this. And I'm going to go down to the substance materials here, and down, and there's this striped something or other. And I can just drag that on. Now, where we had one colour showing up in the properties, we've now got 3 colours. And I can click on the swatch here and I can change this to a nice Christmassy red. There you go. And then a nice Christmassy off-white. And then a nice Christmassy green. Here we go. Christmas. Look at that. Christmas is here. All right, I don't like the ring on this at all, so I'm going to open up the standard materials and just go for one of these normal, everyday ones. That didn't help, did it? Let's go for a white plastic. Let's drop that on there. Okay, and we'll go back and we'll put our stripes back on the bauble. There we go. Okay, I'm not worried that I've lost those colours because I'm going to change them anyway, but there you go. I made a mistake. So we have this bauble. Now what I want to do is to change, I'm going to change that divider as well. What I want to do is change this to a specific colour. And this is where our libraries start to come into play. So I'm going to go to Starter Assets at the top left here, click on that and Libraries. And we can see here that I have got a lot of libraries that need a good tidy up. I say this every time I look at my libraries. And I've got one photo focus here. Tip Squirrel is me, I suppose. Minecraft, more of that another time. But photo focus, I love Minecraft. Photo focus, here we go. So I can choose this sphere, which I'm not on at the moment. Let's choose the sphere. I get my 3 colours. There we go. And I can say this one I want to be the new photo focus colour. Then we'll stick with the grey perhaps. And then this one wants to be, I think this is the old photo focus colour. So now we've got the bauble in our logo colours. So, you know, that's all good. That's nice. I like that. So now we have a bauble. All good. Lovely. Now what I want to do now, well, let's talk about libraries just for a second. So libraries, they go with you wherever you are. So if you are a Creative Cloud user, you have access to libraries and they are amazing. Let's say you are a wedding photographer. You can have a library for that particular wedding. Now I have one in here, I think, Anna and Ben. So all the things for Anna and Ben, which is a made-up couple, by the way, and all the things for Anna and Ben are now in that library. So I can give access, if I wanted to Anna and Ben, if they existed, and they could add things to this. So when Anna decided, yes, this is the bouquet she wanted, she could take colours with Adobe Capture and put it in there as well. So, you know, this is really helpful. If you are working for different people, and let's say photo focus, you can keep all the colours in there that you want, any logos, any backgrounds, which I've got here, so an image there that I can put in a background, all that kind of thing can go in a library and it's accessible wherever you are signed in. So I could leave this computer, go 100 miles away, sign into another computer, and I have all those assets with me from all of my libraries. Really, really helpful. I cannot praise them enough. Okay, so we've got that. Right, I forget where I was going now. Oh yeah, so now what I want to do is I want to create more Christmas baubles, because one Christmas bauble does not a Christmas make. So we've got a couple of options here. Let's go to back out and let's pop all these into a group. So again, I'm going to shift click to select them all, and I'm going to click here to make them into a group. I can come in there and do everything that I've done before. They're all in there, just in a folder. So let's do photo focus 1. There we go. So we have this bauble, and like I say, we can go in there and we can change everything we want anyway. So what I want to do is I want to have a few of these. I'm not sure about this divider. I'm going to change that before I go any further. I'm going to change it. Sorry, bear with. All right, let's go back to these, and let's have maybe a silver would be better on there, I think, wouldn't it? Yeah, okay, that's better. All right, so now we have this bauble all in one, which means I can go to the object and I can copy it and I can paste it. So I'm going to edit and copy, and I can paste it. Paste it. There we go. Now we can't see it, but we can see that it has arrived here. Let's call this one Photo Focus 2. The reason why we can't see it is it's in exactly the same place, so we can just move that one out the way. There we go. So all I've done is copied and pasted it. However, there is another way of doing this. I'm going to go to copy, and then I'm going to paste as an instance. Now, if you have worked in InDesign, I think, with Illustrator most definitely, you may understand instances straight off the bat. If you're working in Photoshop, you can think of these as kind of like smart objects. If you've worked in none of those, don't panic. I'm about to bore all the other people by telling you what these are. So we have an instance. So I can go into this Photo Focus 3. I'm going to call this one Photo Focus 3. And I'm going to go into the sphere and I'm going to change the color. So click on the color there and I can change the color. Let's change this one to green. There we go. Now, because this is an instance, it means that all the instances change together. So if my color scheme suddenly changed of what I wanted to do, if I've made them as instances, it's fine. Everything changes. It's also a good way to work to save processing power as well, because it's only processing the one bauble and then just copying it over, rather than processing 3 or 4 or 100 baubles, whatever you're doing. So always a good way to work. I'm going to go back to my libraries now, just so as I can get back that original colour. There we go. Nice. Okay, so now we have one copied one and 2 instances of this one as well. So that's cool. Let's take this one and we will copy it, and I'm going to paste it down, or I'm going to duplicate it maybe. There we go, and we can bring that one out and bring this one out. Let's take this one back because we don't need that for the time being. So you're realizing now just how few friends I've got, because it took that long for anybody to send me a message. Let's push this one way back and this one way back, and then we're going to take this one. Now this one is a duplicate, which means it's on its own. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to the starter assets, and I'm going to use this one maybe. Oh, now nearly made a big mistake, because this is all in a group. If I click and drag that onto this, it will affect everything. In fact, let me show you. If I would have done that, I just Control Z said that. Okay, so you can see that it added it to everything. What I want to do is click and drag it onto the sphere there to get a white bauble. Right, I'm just going to move this. I don't know why I need to move it back, but I do. Okay, so we've got this white bauble. We can, if we wanted to, in the cylinder, we can rough this up a little bit. No, in the sphere, we can rough this up a little bit if we wanted to, in the properties for this. But you know what? I'm quite happy with that. Yeah, I think that's the one I'm going to use. Okay, so we have our sphere. We could, like I say, rough it up a little bit and make it a bit different, but I'm happy with it. What I do want to do is to put the photo focus logo on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back to libraries, backwards and forwards, and now I've got a choice here. I can either drag this across onto the sphere over here, or as of a few updates ago, I can drag this and drop it onto the sphere. Now it tells me here that some actions cannot work on parametric models. Use the convert to standard model action to perform this action. Learn more. I've never clicked learn more, so I don't know anymore. But I do know that I need to convert this sphere to a standard model, which you'll find in the object menu. Now I'm sure there are 3D people probably screaming at me. That's fine. I don't mind. I'm doing what I'm doing. Okay, so now I can click and I can drag that over, and sure enough, on it comes, and it is on the bauble. We can see that we can turn this around and actually make it so it's on the bauble. Lovely. Now if I take the bauble and I spin that, there we go. We can position this how we want. I'm going to take it all the way around to the back, because then on this reverse side I'm going to go to tip squirrel, and I'm going to put this one on, because hey, why not? So there we go. Nuts about Photoshop. Which I am. There we go. So look for me, tip squirrel on all social medias. Come find me. I'd love to meet you. Okay, so we've got this now. What can we do with it? Well, we now have this whole bauble, which we'll call photo focus logos. Logos, even. Let's go for logos though, because it sounds better. All right, so now we have this going on. Let's take this up and spin it round, because we want the photo focus at the front on this one, and we can move this into position. You notice that these have got shadows. They don't need to, but in my case they will have. And I'll move this one just slightly back. I'm going to take this one and I'm going to copy it, and then I'm going to paste as an instance. So I've got two of these now, one with photo focus on it. There we go. Let's bring that into position. And then I've got this one, which is slightly at the back, with tip scroll on it, and that is not level. So I'm going to come into the sphere. I'm going to click on that and go to my graphic, and then I can start to sort of move this around so it looks a bit better. Okay, cool. All right, so I'm not sure about this one being up so high. Good. I can view and I can reset it all and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to zoom to fit canvas. Oh no, fit to fit selection. Oh, don't want to do that, do I? Okay, good. I can move the camera around using my tools over here. I did say I wasn't going to use them, didn't I? But we can move the camera around. Let's do a little bit of an orbit because it is 3D after all. So now we can position ourselves. Now we're happy with those baubles. We can now position ourselves exactly where we want to be, and I think just there will work just fine for this. Okay, so there we are. We've got our 5 baubles. It's nice. I'm going to render them out, and you can see at the top here we've got design and render. I'm going to press render there, or click on render, and I'm left with a choice now in the render settings. I'm going to call this Xmas balls. Grow up. There we go. And I've got the choice, medium, low or high. I'm going to choose medium because my computer isn't that fast, to be honest with you. I'm using, I think it's about 6-year-old MacBook Pro here. It's not the quickest. It's gone through a lot, bless it. And now I've got a choice of PST or PNG or both. And I can also choose to have a 16-bit or a 32-bit PSD. That's going to be your choice. I haven't got many colours, and I'm not too worried about huge detail in this. So 16, and my poor computer, 16 will do. I'm going to save this to the desktop. It's probably already one called that. Yep. So I'm going to click OK. And up it comes. And we're going to see it starting to be rendered. And also, we're going to see a change down the bottom of the screen here. Excuse me, where it says it's called Xmas Balls. And it's estimating the time it's going to take. I'm going to guess that this is going to be about a minute, it's going to say. And no way is this a minute. So a 1 minute 21. That's incredibly quick. So I'm a bit dubious about this. It will shift. It will go up to like 6 minutes and then down to 3 minutes. So that first figure, you know, don't take that on. Don't think, oh, I've got 1 minute till this is ready. It's going to take a little bit longer. You know, it gets to about 50% or so, and then it reconsiders. So I'm going to leave this going and have a bit of tea. So there we go. You may have seen if I've included it, halfway along there it did jump up to 6 minutes, but then it came tumbling back down again. But we've got our image and it's all ready to go. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to jump over to Photoshop and you can see what it's like. So here we are, loaded into Photoshop. Not a very big image, but you know, that was our choice right at the beginning. But the reason why I would suggest always saving as a PSD is that you get more options. First of all, down the bottom here, we have rendered image reduced noise, which is nice. But then we have one that is a rendered image, so it's a little bit more noisy, which you've got the choice between the two. And then we have this folder, and this folder has 3 other layers in it. First of all, a material selection masks, meaning that it's going to be very easy if we wanted to mask these out and put them on a scene. Very easy indeed, because they're solid colours. Bam, just pick the colour and you're done. Then we have object selection masks. So that was the materials. So you can see that these two are the same and these two are the same because they're the same materials. And then we have the object. So each object has its own color, meaning that we can select those quite easily. And then most beautiful of all, the depth information. So if you've used depth before in any of your images, you will know that where it's whitest, it's nearest the camera, where it's darkest, it's furthest away. So this bauble is almost white, whereas this one is quite grey because it's further in distance, which means we could use this if we wanted to blur them, for example, or we wanted to put them into a scene. So really nice piece of information that's brought over. I really like that. But there we go. Now, one other thing I wanted to mention was because we used silver on the top here, you can see that Dimension has even put in our reflections. So we've got reflections there. And now we would need to perhaps play about with the lighting a bit, but that's for another time. But I think this works darn well. All right, so there we go. We have gone in to Adobe Dimension. We've created a bauble. We've made an instance of it. We've duplicated it, and we have put graphics on it. All in, I don't know, maybe half an hour. Brilliant. Okay, that's it. Happy holidays, everybody. Please show me what you managed to do using Dimension. I would love to see it. I'm sure you're going to be far more skilled than I. All right, that's it. My name's Eric. You'll find me as Tip Squirrel all over the place. I will see you next time. Bye-bye for now.